Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S MindLab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder why some people seem to bounce back from tough times while others struggle with lasting distress? This new study dives deep into how we handle our emotions, especially after experiencing trauma, and it points to one specific coping strategy as being surprisingly central to it all. Today, we're exploring a fascinating study that uses a cool method called network analysis to look at how different emotion regulation strategies connect to post-traumatic stress symptoms or PTSS. Think of PTSS as the lingering distress and difficulties that can arise after experiencing something traumatic. So, what is emotion regulation or ER? Basically, it's how we manage our feelings. We all do it, consciously or not, to try and feel better or just to get through the day. Researchers have known for a while that problems with emotion regulation can make it harder to recover from trauma. Most of the research has focused on how we regulate our own emotions. We hear a lot about strategies like cognitive reappraisal, which is like mentally reframing a situation to change how you feel about it. But this new study asks, what about when we regulate our emotions with the help of others? They call this social ER. And that's where things get really interesting because it turns out we know much less about this than we might think. The researchers divided emotion regulation into two main types. Self-ER, the stuff we do on our own, and social ER, stuff we do with others. For self-ER, they looked at two well-known strategies, cognitive reappraisal, where you try to think about things differently to change your feelings, and expressive suppression. Expressive suppression is exactly what it sounds like, holding back how you outwardly show your emotions. If you're feeling sad but you put on a brave face, that's expressive suppression. For social ER, they used a questionnaire that looked at 4 specific strategies. Soothing, which is seeking comfort from others. Perspective taking, where someone else helps you see a situation in a different light. Social modeling, where you observe how others deal with emotions. And enhancing positive affect, where you share good feelings with others to boost them. To measure PTSS, they use the PTSD checklist for the DSM-5. The PCL-5. This is a standard tool that asks about how much different PTSD symptoms have bothered people. So, how did they put all this together? They got over 1,000 adults who had experienced some kind of trauma. This is important. Then, instead of just looking at simple connections, they use a powerful tool called network analysis. Imagine all these different emotion regulation strategies and PTSS symptoms as individual dots or nodes. The network analysis then draws lines or edges between these dots, showing how strongly they're connected. Thicker lines mean a stronger connection, and different colors tell you if it's a positive connection when one goes up, the other tends to go up too, or a negative one. When one goes up, the other tends to go down. What's really neat about this method is that it doesn't just look at how symptoms relate to each other, or how ER strategies relate to each other. It specifically looks for bridge connections, how strongly an ER strategy connects to the whole PTSS symptom network. They used something called Bridge Expected Influence, or Bridge I, to find the ER strategies that acted as the most important bridges. And what did they find? It's pretty striking. They looked at all these different emotion regulation strategies and all the individual PTSS symptoms, and they mapped out their connections. The standout finding was that one particular strategy, expressive suppression, had the strongest connection, the highest bridge AI to the entire network of PTSS symptoms. This self-regulation strategy, the one where you hold back your emotional expressions, was by far the most influential bridge. After expressive suppression, the next most influential bridges were 2 social ER strategies, social modeling and soothing. These were more connected to PTSS than cognitive reappraisal, the strategy of thinking differently about things. Looking closely at the connections, expressive suppression had strong links to specific PTSS symptoms. For example, it was positively linked to numbing, which is that feeling of emotional blunting or becoming detached from your own emotions. This makes sense because if you're suppressing your emotions, you might start to feel them less overall, especially positive ones. Interestingly, expressive suppression was also linked to feeling disconnected from other people. This is a common symptom of PTSS, and it's easy to see how constantly hiding your true feelings might make it harder to connect with others, leading to more isolation. The fact that social strategies like soothing and social modeling were more influential than cognitive reappraisal is a big deal. It suggests that how we interact with others to manage our emotions might be just as if not more important than how we manage them on our own, especially when dealing with trauma-related distress. The study also revealed that expressive suppression had complex relationships with the social ERR strategies. It was negatively linked to soothing, enhancing positive affect, and social modeling. This hints that maybe when you're very good at suppressing your emotions, it might hinder your ability to use those social strategies that rely on expressing and sharing emotions, like seeking comfort or sharing joy. However, expressive suppression was positively linked to perspective taking and also to cognitive reappraisal. This suggests that for strategies that rely more on thinking and reasoning, like trying to see things from another's point of view or reframing a situation, suppressing outward emotional displays might actually be helpful. It's like you can focus more on the mental work if you're not also trying to manage emotional outward expressions. So, what does all this mean? The study strongly suggests that expressive suppression isn't just another way to regulate emotions. It is a particularly powerful one when it comes to PTSS. Its significant connections to numbing and disconnection highlight the potential downsides of consistently holding back emotions, especially after trauma. This also raises questions for how we treat PTSS. While treatments that focus on cognitive reappraisal are effective, this research suggests we should also pay attention to expressive suppression. Perhaps reducing excessive expressive suppression could be a key target. And importantly, since social ER strategies were also highly influential, the study points to a need to integrate more social support and interpersonal strategies into treatments too. Now, like all research, this one has its limitations. The biggest one is that it's a cross-sectional study, meaning they looked at people at one point in time. This makes it hard to say for sure if expressive suppression causes PTSS or if people with PTSS are just more likely to use expressive suppression. Longitudinal studies following people over time are needed to untangle the direction of these effects. Also, the participants were mostly young white and female students. This means the findings might not apply to everyone. We need to see if these patterns hold true in more diverse groups, across different cultures and ages, because emotion regulation can vary a lot. And they didn't collect data on things like the size of someone's social support network, which could also be a big factor. Even with these limitations, this study is a significant step forward. It's the first to use network analysis to show how both self and social emotion regulation strategies are woven together with PTSS. The findings really emphasize that expressive suppression is not to be underestimated, and that the way we connect with and regulate emotions with others matters a lot too. In my view, this research provides a really valuable map of how our emotional coping styles might be related to trauma recovery. It's a strong reminder that while trying to control our outward emotions with suppression might feel like a defense mechanism, it could actually be creating bigger problems down the line, especially by contributing to feelings of numbness and disconnection, which are core to PTSS. What's exciting is that this work opens doors for new therapeutic approaches. Instead of just focusing on cognitive reframing, therapists might explore helping individuals become more aware of their expressive suppression and encouraging more authentic emotional expression. Furthermore, building stronger social connections and teaching effective social ER skills could be as crucial as teaching individual coping strategies. For future research, I'd love to see studies that directly compare different interventions. For example, how does a therapy focused on reducing expressive suppression compare to one focused on enhancing cognitive reappraisal? And how can we best help people access and utilize those valuable social ER strategies like soothing and social modeling? So, think about how you regulate your emotions. Are you someone who tends to suppress what you're feeling? While it might offer temporary relief, this study suggests that a more open and flexible approach to your emotions and connecting with others for support might be a more resilient path, especially after facing difficult experiences. That's all for today here at RUBIN'S MindLab. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next dive into the fascinating world of psychology. See you next time.